Hello, welcome back to the channel. We are being told that Donald Trump has been privately discussing removing his own Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Not fired, not yet, but talking about it. That matters because this didn't come out of nowhere. Go back to late 2024. Trump chose Pam Bondi for one reason above everything else: loyalty. This is someone who stood by him during Trump University, someone who defended him publicly, someone who was right there politically when others stepped back. She wasn't just another appointment. She was supposed to be a trusted enforcer inside the Justice Department. Fast forward to now, April 2026. And according to multiple reports, behind closed doors, Trump is calling her ineffective, frustrated, questioning whether she's getting the job done. That's a major shift because in this administration, loyalty gets you in the door, but results are what keeps you there. So what changed? Let's break it down, okay? First, the Epstein files. This is the issue sitting at the center of everything. The public expected clarity. What they got instead? Documents with heavy redactions, confusion about what exists and what does not, and a rollout that satisfied nobody. And then came the moment that really stuck. Bondi suggested that a client list tied to Epstein was on her desk. That's a serious statement because it tells the public there are names, there are answers, there's accountability coming. Then later on, the Justice Department walks that back and says there's no confirmed list tied to criminal activity. No, you've got a credibility problem, not a political problem, a credibility problem. And when you're the Attorney General, credibility is everything. Trump has discussed firing Attorney General Pam Bondi. Wow. Now layer on top of that, she's been subpoenaed. Congress is saying, come in, testify, explain whatever. Maybe he wants to fire her before she can get under oath and testify. Does that mean she still has to come in and testify? Does that still mean she does it under oath? Does that still mean she has to go? Maybe she says she don't want to go. Now, if she gets fired, maybe that's how Trump solves things. He fires people and then thinks it's going to stop other people from getting to him. I don't think so. But anyway, I digress. She's been subpoenaed. Congress is saying, come in, testify, explain what is going on. And instead of a clean, decisive response, what we're seeing is hesitation, back and forth, and more questions. Why are we having that? Because she knows some things that she doesn't want to say under oath because she would perjure herself. And she knows if she lies to Congress, she can go to jail. She can go to prison. That's why she don't want to testify. So at the same time, the lawmakers are walking out briefs saying they're not getting straight answers. So now this isn't just a media issue. It's a congressional issue. Second, now here's where things get more complicated at. Because according to these reports, part of the frustration is about how aggressively the Justice Department is acting. There's an expectation, right or wrong, that things should be moving faster, more decisively. And from Trump's perspective, that hasn't happened. Now think about that. Because the Attorney General's role is supposed to be grounded in law, evidence, and process. But when expectations shift towards speed, outcomes, and visible action, that creates tension. And that tension is exactly what you're seeing now. Third, this isn't happening in isolation. You've already seen movement at the cabinet level, including the removal of Kristi Noem. Now you got the Attorney General under pressure. And when you start seeing that kind of movement at the top, that's not routine. That's instability in that White House. While all of this is happening, though, Trump is still publicly saying Bondi is doing a good job. She the girl, she my girl. They're still appearing together, still operating like everything is normal. That's the disconnect. Private frustration, public support. At the same time, when you see that, it usually means one thing. The decision hasn't been made yet to fire her or to keep her. But it's being considered seriously. It says in this article, Trump has discussed firing Attorney General Pam Bondi. President Trump has not made a final decision, but he has floated the idea of replacing Miss Bondi with Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator. Oof. Oof. Now reports say one of the names being floated as a possible replacement is that Lee Zeldin. That alone tells you how real these conversations are. Because you don't start floating replacements unless you're thinking about making a move. So let's bring this all together, shall we? Right now you have an Attorney General, Pam Bondi, dealing with fallout from a highly sensitive case, questions about how that case was handled, pressure from Congress to testify, and reports that the president is actively discussing whether to replace her. But no final decision yet, and that's where we are. So no, Pam Bondi has not been fired yet, but that's not the point. The point is that the conversation is happening at all, because once that conversation starts, it changes everything. He normally fires people once the conversation starts happening. This changes everything. Authority is going to shift, pressure builds, and everybody inside the system knows something could happen at any moment. You know how the president acts when he doesn't get his way. Something happens, and then he does something way outrageous to appease himself. So we never know. It could be her firing. It could be many things. We don't know. And if there's one thing we've seen over and over again, when pressure builds like this at this level, something usually gives. The only question now is, does this settle down or does it turn into more action? That's what we need to be watching. Maybe Pam Bondi gonna be fired by the next 2 weeks. Who knows? We don't know. This president has been known to fire folks at a whim. Let's see what happens with her. You guys have any thoughts? Put them in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.